I turned 40 and threw myself a party. Nobody showed. A week later, daughter sent a text. Mom's 37th birthday. $1,800 per guest. Venmo me. Not even an apology, just a bill. I sent $1 with a note. Congrats. I changed the locks. Blocked every number. 2 days later, my wife tried to access the joint account. Blocked. Then they reported me as missing. Police knocked at my door. You know that feeling when your entire world, everything you thought was real, shatters into a million pieces right before your eyes? What would you do if you discovered your own family was plotting against you, not just behind your back, but right in front of your face, while celebrating a twisted, cruel joke at your expense? Because that, my friends, is exactly what happened to me. And let me tell you, when the dust settled, things would never be the same. It was my 40th birthday. 40. A milestone. I had spent the entire day meticulously decorating our living room, stringing up streamers, arranging a store-bought cake that read Happy 40th in bright blue icing. I even set 6 places at the dining table, because my wife, Allison, and our 2 kids, Cassandra and Preston, were supposedly running errands. The old grandfather clock in the hall struck 8. 8. I'd been waiting 3 hours. 3 agonizing hours. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through unanswered texts to Allison, to 19-year-old Cassandra, to 16-year-old Preston. Where are you guys? The food's getting cold. Is everything okay? Please call me. I even tried my sister-in-law, Bethany, who answered with this awkward, obvious discomfort before claiming she had no idea where they were. The lie was so transparent, it almost made me laugh, almost. You see, 2 decades ago, I was just a struggling contractor with big dreams. Now? I'm Dominic Reeves, founder and CEO of Reef Construction, a multi-million-dollar company that built half the shopping centers in this county. Despite my insane schedule, I had never missed a single birthday, anniversary, or school event. Family always came first. Until now, apparently. My phone buzzed. A text from Preston. Sorry, Dad. Mom said we're running late. Be home soon. More lies. I knew, because months ago, after catching him sneaking out to parties, I'd installed a tracking app on his phone. And according to that app, my son was currently at the Harborview Hotel, a luxury resort 20 miles away. I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon. Then, out of some strange impulse, I opened Instagram. I hadn't checked social media all day, too busy prepping for a celebration that was clearly never going to happen. The first post in my feed stopped my breath cold. It was from Cassandra's account. A group photo. In what looked like a lavish hotel ballroom. My daughter. My son. My wife. And at least 30 other people, friends, extended family, even several of my business associates, all dressed in formal wear, raising champagne glasses around an elaborate 3-tiered cake. The caption read, Mom's 30th birthday bash. Hashtag best night of her. Her 30th birthday? Allison was 39. I zoomed in. And there, standing behind Allison, much too close, was Theo Bradford, her tennis instructor, his hand resting possessively on the small of her back. As I scrolled through more photos, it all clicked into place. Allison's sudden, intense interest in tennis 6 months ago. The late-night strategy sessions with her new business partner. The mysterious weekend conferences. The gradual, icy emotional distance that had crept between us. It all made sense. Then, my phone buzzed again. A Venmo notification. A request from Cassandra Reeves. $1,800. The description read, Mom's 30th birthday. Your share. No apology. No explanation. Just a bill. I stared at my phone, a cold, hard rage crystallizing in my chest. 20 years of marriage. 2 children I'd raised and loved. A life built from nothing through backbreaking work and sacrifice. And this was what it amounted to. I finished the bourbon in one burning swallow and opened my laptop. First, I transferred half the money from our joint accounts to a new one, solely in my name. Then, I called a locksmith. By midnight, when my family finally returned home, laughing, until they saw my car in the driveway, the locks had been changed. The security codes reset. And I was just getting started. Dad! Preston called through the door. We can't get in. Dad's probably asleep, I heard Allison say. Use your key. I am. It's not working. I sent Cassandra a Venmo payment. Exactly $1. With a single word in the description, congratulations. Then, I turned off my phone, closed my eyes, and began to make my plan. The very next morning, I sat in the office of Valerie Ortiz, the best divorce attorney in the state. They called her the executioner, and I knew why. They spent the night at the Bradford residence, I said, sliding a folder across her desk. My wife and children. After I changed the locks. Valerie opened the folder. Inside were images captured by the private investigator I'd hired 3 months ago, when my suspicions about Allison first arose. You've been planning this for some time, Valerie observed, her gaze sharp. I wanted to be wrong, I replied, the words a raw whisper. I gave her every opportunity to come clean. Instead, she just escalated. The photos showed Allison and Theo in various compromising positions, lunch dates, clandestine meetings in hotel lobbies, a passionate kiss in her office parking garage. The most damning evidence is financial, I continued. She's been siphoning money from our joint accounts for months. Small amounts at first, then larger transfers. Over $200,000 in total. To Mr. Bradford. To a shell company he created 6 months ago. Ostensibly, a wellness retreat business they were launching together. My laugh was hollow, devoid of humor. The only service they provided was to each other. And your children? Valerie asked. Cassandra knows everything. She's been helping her mother cover her tracks, probably in exchange for financial support. Preston. I'm not sure how much he understands. Valerie reviewed the documents. Your wife organized this birthday party at the Harborview. That must have cost $64,000, I finished for her. She invited 48 guests, charged them each $1,800, then pocketed the difference. The actual cost per person was around $750. So she profited from her own birthday party, while excluding me entirely. I leaned forward. I want everything, Valerie. The house, the business, full custody of Preston. And I want Allison and Theo to pay for every single lie they've told. Legally, we can. I'm not just talking about legal remedies, I cut her off. My eyes were cold. I built my life from nothing. I can rebuild again if necessary. But I will not let them walk away unscathed. Valerie studied me carefully. There are lines we cannot cross, Mr. Reeves. I understand. I stood. Please prepare the divorce papers immediately. I'll handle the rest. As I left her office, my phone buzzed. A text from Allison, we need to talk. Where are you staying? I didn't respond. Instead, I called Luis Mendoza, my most trusted employee. I need information on Theo Bradford, I said, no preamble. Everything you can find. Tax records, property holdings, business dealings, legal or otherwise. Consider it done, Luis replied. And your family? I don't have a family anymore, I said, and ended the call. My next appointment was with the bank manager who'd approved Allison's home equity line of credit without my knowledge. By evening, I'd frozen every account Allison had access to, removed her as an authorized user on all credit cards, and redirected my salary to my new private account. That night, checking into the Four Seasons under a false name, I made one more call. Solomon, I greeted my old college roommate, now a cybersecurity expert. I need a favor that you can never tell anyone about. 2 days later, I was sitting in a nondescript rental car outside the Bradford Tennis Academy, watching my wife arrive for her lesson. From my vantage point, I could see Theo greet her with a kiss that lingered far too long for an instructor and student. My phone buzzed. Preston. Dad, where are you? Mom's freaking out. She says you've emptied the accounts. Not emptied, son. Secured. I corrected him. How are you doing? I'm scared. Cassandra is saying you've lost your mind. Mom's been crying all day, Preston's voice cracked. What's going on? Ask your mother about her tennis instructor, I said evenly. Ask her why she threw a $60,000 birthday party without inviting her husband. Ask your sister why she thought it was appropriate to bill me for it afterward. Silence hung on the line. I didn't know about the party until that night, Preston finally admitted, his voice small. Mom said you were away on business. When I saw you weren't there, I tried to call, but Cassandra took my phone. A pang of sympathy pierced my armor. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this, Preston. Can I see you? Please, not yet. Things need to play out first. Mom went to the police this morning. Preston blurted out. She reported you as a missing person. Said she's afraid you might hurt yourself. I nearly laughed. Did she mention that she's been having an affair? That she locked me out of my own house? She told the police you've been acting erratic for months, that you've been paranoid, accusing her of things. Preston hesitated. They seemed concerned. So that was her play. Paint me as unstable. Build a narrative that I was having some kind of breakdown. Preston, listen carefully. I'm perfectly fine. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in months. But your mother is trying to get ahead of the story. What story? The one where she's been cheating on me with Theo Bradford for at least 6 months. The one where she's stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars from our family. The one where your sister has become her accomplice. Another silence. I saw some texts on Mom's phone, Preston admitted finally. Between her and Mr. Bradford. They were not about tennis. Keep this conversation between us, I instructed. For now, just go along with whatever they say. Act normal. Can you do that? Yeah. Preston agreed quietly. Are you coming home soon? Not to that house. But I promise we'll see each other soon. I ended the call as a police cruiser pulled into my driveway across town, visible on the home security app on my tablet. Right on schedule. I watched through the exterior cameras as 2 officers approached the front door. Solomon's hack into the home system gave me complete remote access, while preventing anyone else from viewing the feeds. The officers knocked, then peered through windows. One of them spoke into his radio, presumably reporting that the residence appeared empty, no signs of disturbance. I switched cameras to the backyard, where they were examining the doors and windows. Finding everything secure, they eventually returned to their vehicle and departed. My phone immediately rang. Allison. Calling for the 20th time that day. I declined. And then, a text from Solomon, system in place. All communications intercepted. Location tracking active on all devices. Bank alerts set up. You'll know every move they make. Time for phase 2, I replied. I started the rental car and drove to my next destination, the office of Marlene Kovac, the private investigator who'd been documenting Allison and Theo's affair. I need more, I told her without preamble. Not just their relationship. I need everything on Bradford. Business dealings, gambling habits, tax situations, legal troubles, former relationships. The works. Marlene nodded. My sources indicate he's not as successful as he appears. The academy is hemorrhaging money. He's leveraged to the hilt. So, he needs my wife's money, I concluded. Or rather, my money. Exactly. And there's something else. Marlene handed me a file. Bradford has a pattern. This is the third wealthy married woman he's become involved with. The previous two divorced their husbands, liquidated significant assets to invest in ventures with Bradford, then found themselves abruptly single and significantly poorer within a year. I flipped through the documentation, my jaw tightening. He's a professional predator, essentially. But he's never been charged with anything. He's careful. Everyone makes mistakes, I said, closing the file. Find me his. That evening, as I worked from my hotel room, an alert from Solomon's tracking system pinged my laptop. Allison, Cassandra, and Theo were all converging on the local police station. Right on cue, my burner phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Mr. Reeves, this is Officer Daniel Hartman with the Metro Police Department. Your wife has reported you missing. She's quite concerned. I'm not missing, Officer Hartman. I'm voluntarily absent. Would you be willing to come to the station to confirm that in person? Just to clear things up. Of course, I agreed pleasantly. I'd be happy to explain exactly why I've chosen to distance myself from my wife. An hour later, I walked into the police station, immaculately dressed in a tailored suit. As I entered, I saw Allison, red-eyed and playing the part of the distraught wife, with Cassandra at her side. Theo lurked in the background, trying to appear concerned yet detached. The performance ended the moment they saw me. Dominic! Allison gasped, her manufactured distress instantly replaced with shock. Officer Hartman looked between them, confusion evident. Mrs. Reeves, your husband appears to be fine. I never said he wasn't. Allison recovered quickly. I said he was missing. He disappeared without a word. Cleaned out our accounts. Actually, I interrupted. I'd like to file a report of my own. Financial fraud, identity theft, and adultery, though I understand that last one isn't technically a crime anymore. As Allison's face paled, I smiled for the first time in days. The game had begun. What exactly are you accusing your wife of, Mr. Reeves? Officer Hartman asked, leading me to an interview room while another officer remained with Allison, Cassandra, and Theo. I placed a thick folder on the table. My wife has been systematically transferring funds from our joint accounts to a shell corporation. Established by her lover, Theo Bradford. She forged my signature on a home equity line of credit application. She used my business contacts to solicit donations for her birthday party under false pretenses. Officer Hartman leafed through the documents, his expression growing more serious with each page. These are serious allegations. They're documented facts, I corrected. My attorney has already begun civil proceedings, but I believe some of these actions constitute criminal fraud. And you haven't been coercive or threatening toward your wife? I changed the locks on my house after discovering her infidelity and financial deception. I protected my assets by transferring funds to secure accounts. I temporarily ceased communication while gathering evidence. None of those actions are illegal. The officer studied me. Why not just divorce her and be done with it? Because this isn't just about a failed marriage, I explained, my voice cold. My wife and Mr. Bradford have been systematically targeting my finances, my reputation, and my relationship with my children. Now they're attempting to paint me as mentally unstable to gain advantage in upcoming legal proceedings. I won't allow that narrative to stand. After nearly an hour of detailed questioning, Officer Hartman escorted me back to the waiting area, where Allison immediately launched into a performance. "Dom, we've been so worried," she cried, attempting to embrace me. "Why would you disappear like that? Why would you lock us out of our home?" I stepped back, avoiding her touch. "Officer Hartman has copies of the evidence now, Allison. I suggest you find a good criminal defense attorney." Theo stepped forward. "Look, man, I don't know what you think is happening, Mr. Bradford," I cut him off. "I've documented 37 instances of you and my wife engaging in extramarital activities over the past 6 months. I have records of $217,000 transferred from my family's accounts to your shell corporation. I know about the other women, Patricia Wilson and Eleanor Greer. I know your pattern." The color drained from Theo's face. Cassandra inserted herself between us. "Dad, you're embarrassing yourself. Mom and Theo are business partners. And you?" I turned to my daughter. "Billing me $1,800 for a party I wasn't invited to. That was a special touch. It was a surprise party." Cassandra stammered. "You were supposed to save it." "The guest list is in that folder," I interrupted. "My name isn't on it." Officer Hartman cleared his throat. "I think we've established that Mr. Reeves is not missing or in danger. The rest of these matters appear to be civil disputes." "Precisely," I agreed, "which is why I'll be leaving now. Please inform Mrs. Reeves that all communication should go through our respective attorneys moving forward." As I walked toward the exit, Allison rushed after me. "Where are you going?" "What about Preston?" "He needs his father." "Preston is welcome to contact me directly anytime," I replied without slowing. "Unlike the rest of you, he hasn't lied to my face or stolen from me." Outside, I found Preston waiting in Allison's car, his expression a mixture of relief and anxiety. "Dad!" I hugged my son tightly. "I'm okay, Preston. This situation is complicated, but I promise I'm okay. Mom said you're having some kind of breakdown." "Your mother is trying to protect herself," I said carefully. "There are things happening that you don't fully understand yet." "Then help me understand," Preston pleaded. "Everyone's lying to me." I glanced toward the police station where Allison, Cassandra, and Theo were emerging, their faces thunderous. "Not here," I said quietly. "I'll text you later. We'll meet somewhere private." As I walked to my rental car, I felt Allison's eyes boring into my back. The wounded spouse act hadn't worked with the police. She would try something else next. I was counting on it. The next morning, I met Preston at a diner 20 miles outside town. My son looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. "Mom and Cassandra were fighting all night," Preston explained, sipping the coffee I'd ordered for him. "Cassandra keeps saying they need to neutralize you before the divorce." "Neutralize?" I raised an eyebrow. Her words, not mine. "They don't know I can hear them." Preston lowered his voice. "I've been recording their conversations." A surge of pride mixed with sadness for what my son was being put through. "That shows initiative, but be careful. I don't want you putting yourself at risk." "Is it true about Mom and Mr. Bradford?" I nodded slowly. "I'm afraid so." "And the money?" "Also true. They've been planning this for months, possibly longer." Preston stared into his coffee. "What about Cassandra? How long has she known?" Based on text messages Solomon recovered, at least 4 months. She was promised a condo in Malibu and tuition for graduate school in exchange for her cooperation. "She sold you out for a condo?" Preston looked horrified. "People rationalize betrayal in many ways," I said gently. Your sister probably tells herself I deserve it somehow. What happens now? Now, you go back home and pretend we never had this conversation. But I want you to pack a bag with your important belongings, documents, favorite possessions, anything irreplaceable, and hide it somewhere secure. Why? Because things are going to get worse before they get better, I explained. And I need to know you're prepared. After Preston left, I called Luis. It's confirmed, Luis reported. Bradford has approached 3 of your major clients, claiming you're having personal issues that might impact upcoming projects. He's offering to connect them with more stable contractors. Perfect, I said. Proceed with the next phase. By noon, I'd met with each of those clients personally, explaining that a family situation was being weaponized against me by a competitor. I provided documentation of Bradford's financial difficulties and his pattern of targeting wealthy married women. All 3 clients not only recommitted to Reeves Construction but agreed to feed Bradford false information about their supposed concerns with my stability. The trap was being set. That afternoon, I received a text from Solomon ENT accessing financial records, looking for hidden accounts. They wouldn't find any. The money I'd secured was now flowing through a complex network of temporary holding companies, established years ago as a contingency plan. I'd always believed in preparing for worst-case scenarios, a habit I developed during my impoverished childhood when my own father had abandoned the family, leaving us destitute. My next stop was the Harborview Hotel, where Allison's extravagant birthday party had been held. The event manager, Howard Lakater, greeted me warmly. Mr. Reeves, I was surprised you couldn't attend your wife's celebration. She said you were called away on business. That's actually why I'm here, Howard. I recently discovered some irregularities in the billing for that event. Howard frowned. Everything was paid in full. Mrs. Reeves handled it personally. I'm sure she did. Would you mind sharing the actual cost of the event? For my records. After some hesitation and a gentle reminder about the substantial business Reeves Construction had brought to the hotel over the years, Howard pulled up the invoice, $36,422. And guests were charged $1,800 each, I noted. For 48 attendees, that's $86,400. Quite a profit margin. Howard looked uncomfortable. I wasn't aware of any guest contributions. No, he wouldn't be. That was handled privately. I smiled reassuringly. I'm not blaming you, Howard, but I would appreciate copies of all documentation related to the event for my divorce proceedings. The word divorce opened all necessary doors. By the time I left, I had complete records of every detail Allison had planned, including her specific instruction that I was not to be admitted to the party under any circumstances, even if I somehow learned about it. Back in my hotel room, I reviewed the day's developments with Solomon via a secure video call. They're getting desperate, Solomon reported. Allison tried to access your email accounts but couldn't get past the new security. Bradford called 3 banks trying to find your new accounts. Cassandra has been contacting your former employees looking for dirt. And Preston? Clean so far. No suspicious communications. He seems to be keeping his word. I nodded, relieved. What about the offshore transfers? Bradford made initial inquiries this morning. Our false trail is in place. The Cayman account looks legitimate, complete with believable banking history. If he tries to access it, we'll have him on attempted financial fraud, I finished. Keep monitoring. I want to know the moment they take the bait. 3 hours later, the alert came. Bradford had attempted to access the fabricated offshore account using credentials purposely left on a decoy laptop in my home office safe, the combination of which Allison knew. I immediately called Valerie Ortiz. We've got him, I said without preamble. Attempted unauthorized access to a financial account. The system captured his IP address, device information, everything. Do you want to press charges immediately? Valerie asked. Not yet, I replied. Let's see how deep they'll dig their own graves first. A week into my calculated absence, the first cracks in Allison's coalition began to show. Solomon's surveillance revealed increasingly tense conversations between Allison and Theo, primarily centered around money. She's burning through cash faster than expected, Solomon explained during our morning briefing. The credit cards are all declined now. Bradford Academy payroll is due tomorrow and he's short by almost $30,000. Has he tried accessing the Cayman account again? 3 more attempts, Solomon confirmed. Each one meticulously logged. He's getting sloppy. Last night, he spent 4 hours searching for ways to bypass banking security protocols. His search history is incriminating. I smiled grimly. And Cassandra? She's demanding her promised condo and tuition money. Apparently, she's already signed a lease based on her mother's guarantees. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Financial pressure was the first step in fracturing their alliance. My phone buzzed with a text from Preston, Mom's meeting with some guy today. Says he's a reputation management consultant. What does that mean? It means they're planning to destroy my public image, I replied. Can you get a name? 20 minutes later, Preston sent a photo of a business card. Fletcher Mills, Crisis Management Specialist. I immediately relayed the information to Luis, who set to work investigating Mills. By afternoon, we had a complete profile. Former tabloid journalist turned PR fixer, specializing in crafting sympathetic narratives for wealthy clients facing public scandal. His usual approach is to plant strategic stories with former media colleagues, Luis reported, painting clients as victims while subtly undermining their opponents. Perfect, I murmured. Have Marlene approach him. Same cover story we discussed. That evening, Marlene Kovac met Fletcher Mills in an upscale bar across town, posing as a wealth management advisor concerned about a client being manipulated by an unscrupulous contractor named Dominic Reeves. The seeds of doubt were planted. Meanwhile, I arranged to meet with several of Allison's closest friends, women who had attended the birthday party and received the subsequent Venmo requests. I approached each meeting with calculated vulnerability, expressing confusion and hurt rather than anger. I just want to understand what happened, I told Jennifer Palmer, Allison's maid of honor. One day, I'm planning my 40th birthday. The next, I discover my wife is celebrating without me and charging our friends for the privilege. Jennifer shifted uncomfortably. Allison said the party was her idea, but that you approved everything. She said you were handling the finances. Did you think it was strange that I wasn't there? She told us you had an emergency project crisis, that you were devastated to miss it. And the $1,800 charge? I asked thoughtfully. Did that seem reasonable for a birthday dinner? Jennifer hesitated. It seemed high, but Allison said it included a charitable donation to that wellness retreat she's launching with her tennis coach. Interesting. I slid across my phone, showing Jennifer the actual hotel invoice. The real cost was about $750 per person. As Jennifer's expression shifted from confusion to dawning comprehension, I knew I had another ally. By week's end, I had spoken with 12 of Allison's closest friends, systematically dismantling her social support network with nothing but documented facts and genuine questions. The isolation strategy was working. On day 10 of my strategic absence, I received an urgent call from Preston. Dad, they're planning something big. Mr. Bradford's moving into our house tonight. Mom says they're accelerating their timeline because of your aggressive tactics. They're meeting with some doctor tomorrow morning. What kind of doctor? I asked, already suspecting the answer. A psychiatrist. I heard Mom practicing what she's going to say. She's going to claim you've been abusive and paranoid for years, that you're having some kind of breakdown. Trying to build a case for an involuntary psychiatric hold, I concluded. Bold move. What do we do? Nothing. You maintain your cover. I'll handle this. I paused. Actually, there's something you can do. Make sure you're present for that meeting if possible. Record everything. I will, Preston promised. Dad, be careful. After ending the call, I immediately contacted Valerie. They're escalating to psychiatric claims, I informed her. I need preemptive measures. Already in motion, Valerie assured him. I filed for an emergency hearing regarding the financial fraud. Judge Wentworth is sympathetic, he's experienced similar tactics in his own divorce. More importantly, I've arranged for you to meet with Dr. Eleanor Chin tomorrow morning. She's a respected forensic psychiatrist who can evaluate you and document your mental stability. Excellent, I approved. And the financial trap? Bradford accessed the fake Cayman account 4 more times today. Each attempt more aggressive than the last. He's trying to transfer funds now, not just view balances. We have everything documented. Perfect timing, I said. Prepare the injunction papers. We move tomorrow. That night. As I finalized details with my team, I received an unexpected video call request from Cassandra. After a moment's hesitation, I accepted. My daughter's face appeared. Tears streaked her cheeks. Dad, I need to talk to you. I'm listening, I replied, keeping my expression neutral. Everything's falling apart, she blurted. Mr. Bradford moved in today. And he's not who Mom said he was. He's controlling and mean when no one's watching. He called me a spoiled brat when I asked about my condo money. The money that was promised to you for betraying your father? I asked calmly. Cassandra flinched. I didn't see it that way at first. Mom said you were financially abusive, that you controlled everything, that this was her only chance for independence. And now I don't know what to believe, she admitted. But Bradford threatened Preston tonight when Preston questioned why he was using her office. Actually grabbed him by the shirt. My expression hardened. Is Preston okay? He's locked in his room. Bradford took his phone. Cassandra wiped her eyes. Dad, I'm scared. Mom's not acting like herself. She's letting Bradford make all the decisions. Why are you telling me this, Cassandra? What do you want from me? She hesitated. I want out. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. Your mother and Bradford are meeting with a psychiatrist tomorrow to build a case against me. Did you know about that? Cassandra nodded miserably. It was Bradford's idea. He said it was the fastest way to get control of everything. And you were okay with having your father forcibly committed to a psychiatric facility based on lies? No, I didn't think it would go that far, she looked away. I just wanted Mom to be happy. And I wanted the condo, the tuition money. Yes, she whispered. It was stupid and selfish. I see that now. I sighed. If you truly want to make amends, I need something from you. Anything. Evidence. I need you to record Bradford admitting to his financial motivations. I need documentation of his plans regarding me. Can you do that? Cassandra nodded determinedly. Already started. After what happened with Preston, I installed a recording app on my phone. I have Bradford saying they need to neutralize you before you destroy everything. For the first time in days, I felt a glimmer of hope for my daughter. Send everything to this email, I instructed, typing an address into the chat function. Then pack a bag. Essentials only. Be ready to leave at a moment's notice. What are you going to do? End this, I replied. Once and for all. I arrived at the courthouse at 8:30 a.m., immaculately dressed and flanked by Valerie Ortiz and Dr. Eleanor Chin, the forensic psychiatrist who had evaluated me that morning. Your mental status is entirely stable, Dr. Chin had concluded. You're understandably distressed by the betrayal you've experienced, but your thinking remains logical and your actions proportionate to the situation. Judge Leonard Wentworth, a stern man in his 60s, had agreed to hear my emergency petition regarding the financial fraud and potential psychiatric manipulation before Allison could implement her own strategy. At precisely 9 a.m., the bailiff called the case. Neither Allison, Bradford, nor their attorney knew about this hearing, a legal maneuver Valerie had orchestrated through her connections with the court clerk. Your Honor, Valerie began, we are seeking emergency injunctive relief on behalf of Mr. Dominic Reeves, who has documented evidence of systematic financial fraud perpetrated by his wife, Allison Reeves, and her paramour, Theodore Bradford. Judge Wentworth reviewed the documentation carefully. These are serious allegations, Counselor. Why the emergency filing without notice to opposing parties? Because as we speak, Mrs. Reeves and Mr. Bradford are meeting with a psychiatrist to fabricate claims of mental instability against my client. A transparent attempt to gain control of his assets and prevent him from defending himself against their fraud. I presented my evidence methodically, bank statements showing unauthorized transfers, the fake Cayman account access logs with Bradford's digital fingerprints all over them, recordings Cassandra had provided of Bradford discussing their need to lock Dominic up before he could ruin everything. Dr. Chin testified to my mental stability and the disturbing pattern of gaslighting evident in the recorded conversations. By 10:30 a.m., Judge Wentworth had seen enough. I'm granting the emergency injunction, he declared. Mrs. Reeves and Mr. Bradford are hereby prohibited from accessing any accounts or property belonging to Mr. Reeves. Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order preventing them from making any public or private claims regarding Mr. Reeves' mental health without evaluation by a court-appointed psychiatrist. As we exited the courtroom, I received a text from Preston. They just left the doctor's office. Bradford's talking about going to the police this afternoon. Mom looks scared. Phase 2, I told Valerie, who immediately made a call. 30 minutes later, as Allison and Bradford returned to the Reeves residence, they were met by 2 police officers and a court officer serving the emergency injunction and restraining order. From my position across the street, I watched through binoculars as Bradford's face contorted with rage. Even from that distance, I could see the man gesturing wildly, shouting at the officers, while Allison seemed to shrink beside him. My phone buzzed. Cassandra calling. Brad's losing it, she reported, her voice a hushed whisper. He's screaming at Mom, saying she ruined everything by not acting faster. The police are still here. Where are you? I asked. Upstairs bathroom. Preston's with me. Bradford shoved him when Preston tried to talk to the officers. He put his hands on Preston again? My voice went dangerously quiet. Yes. Not hard, but definitely aggressive. Stay where you are. Lock the door. I ended the call and dialed Officer Hartman directly. My son just reported that Theodore Bradford physically assaulted him in my residence, I said without preamble. My daughter witnessed it. They're currently hiding in an upstairs bathroom. Within minutes, additional police units arrived at the house. I watched as Bradford was separated from Allison and questioned intensively. When one officer went upstairs, presumably to speak with Preston and Cassandra, I knew it was time to make my move. I walked calmly across the street, approaching my home for the first time in almost 2 weeks. As I neared, Officer Hartman spotted me and moved to intercept. Mr. Reeves, this is an active police matter. I need you to, that's my son who was assaulted, I said firmly. I'm going to see him now. Before Hartman could object, Preston burst from the front door. Dad! I embraced my son, checking him over for injuries. Are you okay? I'm fine, Preston assured me. Bradford just pushed me. The cops are taking my statement. Cassandra appeared next, her expression a mixture of relief and shame as she approached her father. Dad, I'm so sorry for everything. My expression remained neutral. We'll discuss your role in all this later. Right now, I need you both to pack essential belongings. You're not staying here tonight. Allison chose that moment to emerge from the house, her carefully applied makeup streaked with tears. Dominic, thank God you're here. Theo's been arrested. This is all a terrible misunderstanding. Save it, Allison, I cut her off coldly. The children are coming with me. The court has granted me temporary custody, pending investigation of the fraud allegations. What fraud allegations? What are you talking about? She looked genuinely confused, which confirmed my suspicion that Bradford had kept her in the dark about some of his more aggressive financial maneuvers. The $60,000 you and Bradford stole from our friends at your birthday party, I began. The $200,000 you transferred to a shell company. The home equity line of credit you forged my signature on. The offshore account he tried to hack into. I smiled thinly. That last one was a trap, by the way. There was never any money there, just digital breadcrumbs for him to follow right into a felony charge. Allison's face crumpled. I never meant for any of this to happen. Theo said it was all legal, that we were just securing assets before telling you about us, by throwing a birthday party I wasn't invited to? By having our daughter bill me for it afterward? By reporting me as a missing person when I withdrew from your betrayal? Those were Theo's ideas, she protested weakly. He said we needed leverage. And you went along with all of it, I noted. Every lie, every manipulation, every betrayal. Officer Hartman approached. Mr. Reeves, we've arrested Mr. Bradford for attempted financial fraud and assault. We found multiple devices in his possession containing evidence of attempts to access your accounts. Mrs. Reeves is not under arrest at this time, but she's a person of interest in our investigation. Understood, I nodded. My children will be staying with me tonight. Is there any legal reason they cannot leave with me now? No, sir. The emergency custody order covers that. I turned to Preston and Cassandra. Get your things. We're leaving in 10 minutes. As my children went upstairs to pack, I faced Allison one last time. 19 years, I said quietly. 19 years I gave you everything I had. I built a company from nothing so you could have the life you wanted. I worked 80-hour weeks so you could have your tennis lessons and spa days and charity luncheons. Dominic, please, and in return, you plotted against me. You stole from me. You turned our daughter against me. You planned to have me committed to a psychiatric facility so you could take everything I built. Tears streamed down Allison's face. I made a terrible mistake. We can fix this. No, I said simply. We can't. There's nothing left to fix. As Preston and Cassandra returned with their bags, I put an arm around each of them and led them toward my waiting car, leaving Allison alone on the front steps of the house she would soon lose. The first phase of his reckoning was complete. The following weeks unfolded exactly as I had planned. Bradford remained in custody, unable to make the substantial bail set by Judge Wentworth after prosecutors added charges of conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted extortion, and witness tampering based on his threatening messages to Cassandra. Allison, faced with impending financial ruin and potential criminal charges of her own, hired a desperate attorney who immediately sought a settlement conference. They're offering to drop all claims to your business and personal assets, Valerie reported during our strategy meeting. In exchange, they want the marital home, a one-time payment of $2 million, and for you to decline pressing criminal charges against Allison. I leaned back in my chair. Counter with this, Allison gets nothing except her personal belongings and clothing. She signs a full confession detailing her role in the fraud scheme. In exchange, I'll write a letter to the prosecutor recommending leniency. She'll never agree to that, Valerie warned. She will when she realizes the alternative is prison, I replied calmly. Bradford is going down regardless. His pattern of targeting wealthy women is too established to ignore now that we've connected the dots. Allison's only hope is to position herself as another victim. Meanwhile, I had moved Preston and Cassandra into a luxury apartment downtown while maintaining ownership of the family home. Preston had adjusted well, relieved to be away from the toxic environment. Cassandra's situation was more complex. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," she told me one evening as we sat on the apartment balcony overlooking the city. "I betrayed you for money and status." "Yes, you did," I agreed, my tone matter-of-fact rather than accusatory. "The question is what you've learned from it." Cassandra stared at her hands. "That loyalty matters more than material things. That people who offer quick riches in exchange for betrayal can't be trusted. That I threw away something precious for something worthless." "Good lessons," I nodded. "Expensive ones, too." "What happens now, with me, I mean?" I studied my daughter's face, searching for sincerity. "That depends on you. I've arranged for the remainder of your tuition to be paid through a trust. You'll receive a modest monthly allowance for living expenses. The rest, including rebuilding our relationship, will take time and consistent effort on your part." "And Mom, what's going to happen to her?" "Your mother made choices," I said evenly. "Now she'll face consequences." 2 days later, Allison's attorney called Valerie with their response to my counteroffer. Allison would accept my terms with one modification: she wanted ongoing access to Preston. "Her parental rights are not negotiable," her attorney insisted. I considered this. Preston, despite everything, still loved his mother. Complete severance would only hurt him. Limited supervised visitation, I conceded. Once weekly in a public location for 6 months. After that, we reassess based on Preston's wishes. The deal was struck. Allison signed a comprehensive confession detailing how Bradford had systematically manipulated her into betraying me, though she acknowledged her own willing participation once the affair began. She admitted to the birthday party scheme, the financial fraud, and the planned psychiatric commitment. In exchange, I wrote a carefully worded letter to the prosecutor, suggesting that while Allison should face appropriate legal consequences, her cooperation in building the case against Bradford should be considered a mitigating factor. The prosecutor ultimately charged Allison with misdemeanor fraud and placed her on probation for 3 years. She was ordered to make restitution to the birthday party guests she had overcharged, plus perform 500 hours of community service. Bradford, facing more serious charges and with no one willing to support his defense, accepted a plea deal: 5 years in prison for financial fraud, plus restitution to his previous victims. As for Fletcher Mills, the reputation management consultant who had planned to smear me in the media, he found himself abruptly blacklisted after Marlene Kovac leaked evidence of his less ethical tactics to several industry watchdogs. By month's end, I had reclaimed control of every aspect of my life. My business was thriving, with several new major contracts signed after clients heard about my strategic handling of personal adversity. My relationship with Preston was stronger than ever, and even Cassandra was showing genuine remorse and effort toward redemption. Only one loose end remained. 6 months after the fateful birthday party no one attended, I stood in the master bedroom of the family home, surveying the space that had once represented my American dream. The movers had taken the last of the furniture that morning. Tomorrow, new owners would take possession. A young couple, starting their own journey, blissfully unaware of the betrayal these walls had witnessed. My phone buzzed with a text from Solomon: "Paperwork complete. Transfer executed. She'll receive notification by end of day." I smiled grimly. The final piece of my plan was in motion. That afternoon, as I signed the closing documents at my attorney's office, Allison was receiving formal notice that the generous divorce settlement she thought she'd negotiated, a small apartment and modest monthly payments, had been contingent on strict behavioral requirements outlined in the fine print. Her recent actions, specifically attempting to contact my clients with disparaging claims and establishing a GoFundMe page portraying herself as a victim of financial abuse, had triggered the nullification clause. Effective immediately, all support payments ceased, and she had 30 days to vacate the apartment. "Isn't that somewhat excessive?" Valerie asked cautiously as I explained the situation. Not at all, I replied calmly. I gave her a clear path to a dignified new beginning. She chose instead to continue attacking me. Actions have consequences. Later that evening, as I hosted a small dinner at my new home for Preston, Cassandra, and a few loyal friends who had stood by me throughout the ordeal, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Mr. Reeves, a tentative female voice asked when I answered. This is Patricia Wilson. We've never met, but you exposed Theodore Bradford's scheme. I was one of his previous victims. I'm aware of your situation, Miss Wilson, I acknowledged. I'm sorry for what you experienced. No, I'm calling to thank you, she corrected. The restitution Bradford was ordered to pay, it saved my life. I was about to lose my home after what he took from me. Similar calls came the following days from Bradford's other victims. I listened to each one, offering practical advice on rebuilding after financial devastation, something I understood intimately from my own childhood experiences. 1 month later, I launched the Phoenix Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting victims of relationship-based financial fraud. Using my business acumen and network, I created a system offering legal aid, financial counseling, and temporary support for those rebuilding their lives after betrayal. Preston eagerly joined the Foundation's youth outreach program, helping young people from broken homes navigate their new realities. Even Cassandra, having transferred to a local university to be closer to family, volunteered her weekends to the cause. As for Allison, her final attempt at reconciliation came on a rainy Tuesday, exactly 1 year after my unattended birthday party. She appeared at my office unannounced. Thinner, and without the designer clothes and perfect makeup that had once been her armor. Just 5 minutes, she pleaded with my assistant. I just need 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed to see her. You've done well, she observed, looking around my expansive new office. The foundation, the business expansion. Everyone speaks highly of you. What do you want, Allison? I asked directly. Forgiveness, she answered simply. Or at least understanding. I've lost everything. My home, my reputation, my children's respect. I'm working as a receptionist at a dentist's office. I live in a studio apartment. You made choices, I reminded her, unmoved. These are the consequences. I know, she acknowledged. But we were married for 19 years. We raised children together. Doesn't that count for anything? I studied the woman I had once loved beyond reason. It counted for everything. That's why your betrayal was unforgivable. People make mistakes, Dominic. Terrible ones. But they can change. They can learn. Some betrayals are too fundamental, I interrupted. Some broken things can't be repaired. Tears welled in Allison's eyes. So that's it. 2 decades together and we end as strangers? We end as what you made us, I corrected. A cautionary tale. After she left, I stared out the window at the city skyline, feeling neither victory nor vindication. Only a quiet certainty that I had protected what mattered, my dignity, my future, and my children's understanding of consequences. That evening, as I prepared dinner with Preston and Cassandra in our new home, watching my children laugh together for the first time in months, I realized that while some fires destroy everything they touch, others, the right kind, purify and make way for new growth. The betrayal had cost me my marriage, my illusions, and my blind trust in others. But in their place, I had built something stronger. A life defined by my own terms, relationships based on earned trust rather than obligation, and a legacy that transformed personal pain into purpose. As Preston proposed a toast to new beginnings, I raised my glass in agreement. Some endings, I had learned, are just better beginnings in disguise. So, tell me, after hearing my story, what would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever faced a betrayal that forced you to completely rebuild your life? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below.